Okay, in this video I'm going to do two examples using the law of cosine, one where you find a side and one where you find an angle. First off, I would always try to see if I can use the law of sine first. So I know I can't use the law of sine in this problem because I don't have two matching sides. So I have one matching side here, but if you try to go here, there's no matching side, and I go here, there's no matching side and angle. So I don't have two matching sides, so it's not a good example for the law of sines. So my next thing is I'm going to use the law of cosine then. The law of sine would allow me to write a proportion. So I'm going to use the law of cosine. So the law of cosine tells me to, I'm trying to find x. Okay, so that's going to be the guy that I want on the side alone, and then this is going to be the cosine at the end that I'm going to use. So I am going to write x squared is equal to, and then I take the other two sides that I'm given and I square them. Okay, so right now it looks like the Pythagorean theorem, but I have to subtract from that 2 times those two sides, and then the cosine of the angle that's given. All right, now I like this technique because I can use my calculator and just plug this all in and get one answer. On the video, they had you breaking it all up. I don't really need you to do that. So what you can do is, if I want to get, let's see, I want to get the x alone, which would mean I have to undo the square. So if I'm going to undo the square, I'm just going to square root the whole thing. So I have x is going to be equal to this whole thing. I'm not going to rewrite this underneath the square root sign. So this whole thing underneath here would give you a final answer. So you could literally put that all on your calculator, and that's what I did. So I hit my square root sign, then I did this, the square root of 26 squared plus 17 squared minus 2 times 26 times 17 times cosine of 123, and I hit enter. And then I got my answer. So I would love for you to do that because it's quicker and your calculator is smart enough to do that work for you. In the end, I would have found out that I have 38 degrees. Nope, that's not a degrees, this is a side. So I found out that the side was 38 kilometers. All right, so that's what I would love for you to do is, you can break it down if you want, but be really careful that you don't cut the decimal off. So I did this to the nearest integer. All right, so we'll stop with that. Okay, so this one we want to find the angle. All right, so this one's a little bit more work when you have to find the angle. Again, I would look at it and I would say, you know, do I have a set of matching sides? And I can look right away and say I definitely don't have a set of matching sides because I don't know any of the angles. So therefore I would have absolutely no matches. So that leads me to, okay, I'm going to use the law of cosine. Okay, so for this one, we're going to find the angle this time. So it's going to be the unknown is going to be at the end. So if I want to find angle B, then 11 is going to be the part that's by itself. So when I write the law of cosine, I'm going to have 11 squared, and then I'm going to say equals, and then I'm going to do the other two sides squared, added together. So again, right now it looks like I have the Pythagorean theorem. But now I want to subtract the rest of the stuff off because it's not a right triangle as far as we know. So then I'm going to subtract off 2 times those two sides again. And then this time, this is the unknown, so I'm going to say cosine of B. Sometimes they'll use a theta sign for the unknown, but we're just going to put B because that is the angle we're looking for. All right, now, if you ever look in the books, if you Google search this, they'll give you alternative. You could rewrite this, and you could get a formula that tells you that it's equal to cosine B is equal to, and then they give you a formula. You're welcome to use that, but that's, again, one more thing to memorize. So my thought is, let me just do this math and solve for the cosine of B. So when I do the math, I'm going to get, so the last problem was nice because I didn't have to do, I could put it all right in my calculator. So this is a little bit more complicated because I'm going to break it down more. So this is all the math I have so far. Okay, so I'm going to solve for cosine of B. So that means I'm going to try to get everything away from the cosine of b. So to do that, here I'll just add that first. So I have 121 is equal to, that would be 389 minus 340 cosine b. All right, do not try and put these together because they don't go together. Okay, this is 389 minus 340 times cosine of b. Order of operations tells me to multiply before I do the adding and subtracting, so therefore you don't want to put those two guys together. That will totally mess it up, and that's usually what people do, and that's when you get in errors. Okay, so therefore what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to bring the 389 over to the other side. So that's going to give me a negative 268. And that's equal to negative 340 cos of b. Okay, then I'm going to divide by the 340. So now I have negative 268 all over negative 340 equals cosine of b. Okay, now at this point, the negative and a negative turn into a positive, so I'm just going to write that for the heck of it. I want to find the angle. So to find the angle, what you want to do is you want to put the inverse into the calculator. So in your calculator, this is exactly what you're going to type. You're going to type cos negative 1. So you're going to hit the shift key on your calculator and hit the cos key. And then you're going to do 268 divided by 340. And if you left them both negative, you would get the same answer. It doesn't matter. So this goes in my calculator. And in the end, you would get 37.97, something like that. Okay, and so I said to round to the tenths place, which means the 7 would pump the 9 up. The 9 ends up being a 0, so it's going to be about 38, and this one is degrees. How about that? Both answers are the same number. So that's what you would do with an angle. Angle's a little bit more work, and I'd just be really careful when you're putting in your calculator and doing this one. Remember, you're not subtracting these guys. That will not work out correctly. Okay, order of operations says to subtract the 289, then divide by the negative 3. Remember, you want to get down to a decimal because you're trying to give the calculator the ratio to give you an angle. Okay, good luck.